Michael Nugent. Would you knock? Given the points that Richard has made, which is that there is a sense of community, a sense of people being on the one level, a sense of openness, would you not?
Yeah, there are a lot of things that religion brings that are beneficial in terms of that sense of community, a sense of meaning, absorption in activities that are important to you. But those are things that are human. They're not religious. They're things that atheists also experience. And so the idea that these things are inherently religious is one of the things that religion has managed to kind of con people a little bit about, in the same way as they've created the impression that morality comes from religion. These are all just human
Well, are the miracles,
aspects.
okay, you use the word con, are the miracles a con?
Of course they are, yeah. I mean, at best, at absolute best, what we can say is there are things that have happened and we can't explain them. Now, moving beyond that into saying, and therefore the explanation is God, that's where the con comes in.
But Louise, the miracles are still happening, the visions are still happening in Medjugorje where you
and you know, just like
What do you think of Michael's point that it's a
Well,
con?
just like Lourdes in Medjugorje, the parish, they document these physical healings. And one woman that springs to mind is a lady called Colleen Willard from the US. She had an inoperable brain tumour. She had MS, she had lupus, she had several other very serious illnesses. And she went over to Medjugorje in a wheelchair with her husband. Now, she wasn't going looking for a cure, she admits that herself. But she went over and she met with one of the visionaries who was given a talk outside her home. And the visionary lay her hands on her and prayed with her. And she could feel this tremendous heat go through her. After that, she went to English Mass in the Church of St. James, and once she received the Eucharist, again, she felt this heat go through her. And she stood up when she got out of her wheelchair and she walked. Now, just to point out something about that, Joe, she was under the care of the Mayo Clinic in the US, which is a very well-known and renowned hospital. And when she went to the parish priest to tell him what had happened, he said, go home, good advice, and go to your doctor. She went back to the Mayo Clinic. She had all the tests done and they found no traces of tumours.
And Mick's 12-word response to that is...
Well, why don't you say that God gave her the illnesses? You know, why do you only attribute the bits that you like to God and not attribute the bits that you don't like to God?
And if you use that argument, then I wouldn't go to work every day, because as a doctor, you know, we should just leave everything to God. And
No, we should do the opposite. What we should do is we should do our best to increase the amount of well-being in the world, minimise the amount of suffering in the world, regardless of whether we believe that comes from God or from natural evolution.
But it is a difference of belief where we both come from different angles, and I think there's room for both opinions, and equally Islam and Hinduism. I mean, it seems like we've more in common than we have apart.
Of course there is, yeah, but independently of what we believe, there is a truth. Either a God exists or a God doesn't exist, factually, irrespective of what we believe. And so all that we can do is do our best to make the world a little bit better every day, irrespective of what we believe about
But we would do that, though, but we would say that as people of faith, we would say we're attributing goodness to God. You know.
But why don't you attribute the badness to God? Why when a plane crashes and somebody survives, it's a miracle? Why aren't the 99 people that died also attributed to God?
I think as well, life is one big mystery. We can't explain everything that's going on. We're constantly learning, as in the science field, the medical field. Why not spiritually as well?
But you are trying to put an explanation on it by saying it's God. I'm saying these things happen, I don't know. I'm saying, well, and I'm happy to say I don't know. But just because we don't know doesn't mean that we can add in an explanation by saying that it's God.